Welcome to Ghouls Night Out with your hostesses, Brandy and Jody. Hello, beautiful ghouls. Welcome. This is Brandy. I'm here with my sister, Jody.
Hello.
So I have some funny stranger encounters that I hope I haven't read yet.
Okay.
One time I was running down the street feeling kind of depressed because, well, I was 14. This guy came running the opposite side of the street. He had really long hair, and he was laughing like crazy. He looked at me and said, "Hey, kid, don't be sad. Be like me." And he tripped over a recycling bin, got up, and ran off. Whenever I'm down, I just remember the running guy.
Oh, he was totally high.
I was riding the T in Boston late one night, and I happened to be in a car with only one other person. As we came to a stop, the other guy in the car got up and started walking toward me, though it was also toward the door. He stood in the door, looked at me, and said, "I'm gay. I can't tell anyone. You're a stranger, and I'll never see you again, but I feel better now." And then he left. It really sort of made me think about the heap of hell that guy must be living in if he feels he can't come out to everyone he knows.
Oh, that one's a sad one.
It was. He'd rather put his trust in a fucking stranger than the people.
That's sad.
I was a missionary in Brazil, and people assumed, oh, he's a missionary. That's like a priest, right? Then they'd tell me all the horrible, awful things that ever happened to them. One woman went into dark detail about how her father had abused her and all her sisters and had gotten several of them pregnant. When she was in her mid-30s, she had asked if she was going to hell because she was too afraid to stop him as it was still going on. I told her the Lord would forgive her, but that she had done nothing wrong and that I would pray that God would grant her justice, and that seemed like enough for her. Several days later, during a freak storm, her father was killed by a falling tree that had been struck by lightning. She and her sisters thanked me for smiting the evil that had afflicted them for so long, and swore they would live virtuous lives. I closed the door and threw up.
That's horrible.
That is
But
crazy.
it's horrible that it happened, but fuck yeah, he got killed.
Yeah, like, that's crazy. I hitched a ride, and a crazy camo dude picks me up. He assumes that I'm going to pay for my ride with some kind of sexual congress. I refuse. He becomes irate and hits the gas while pulling a U-turn. I grabbed a pencil and shoved it in his thigh. At the apex of the U-turn, I jumped out of a moving truck and ran away. It's true, and at the time, I was an 18-year-old boy.
These are not.
The first one was funny. Damn it.
These are like really dark.
Okay. I was in the big divisions for the New York City Marathon, which was about to start, and this chick beside me just pulls her running shorts down, squats down, and proceeds to piss in the middle of the street. She had the gall to ask me, "What are you looking at?" I was like, "You're pissing on my shoes."
What the fuck?
What the fuck? Ew.
That's disgusting.
I will never go to New York City. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about it, but
I have no
desire
to go to New York.
No. I was at Bonnaroo walking around the camp area. Some scraggly-looking man in his 60s was shouting things at people. I could hear him from about 50 yards away. He spotted me and yelled, "Hey man, I can see your butthole." No. He did not say that.
I was going to say, what the fuck?
He said, "Hey man, can I see your butthole?"
I was thinking, was he naked? What? Did he have see-through pants? What?
Sorry about that. Without even hesitating, I quipped back, "No, dude. If I can't get to see it whenever I want, why should I show it off to other people?" He was shocked for a few seconds as I kept walking, but he made sure I heard him before I got too far away. That was the best answer I've ever gotten to that question.
That is a pretty good answer.
That is great. Hey, I can't see it. You can't.
See, I wish I could be the kind of person that thinks of stuff like that off the top of my head.
Me too.
I would think of it like 2 days later.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't even think of that. Someone would have been like, oh, you should have said this. I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. I know. If someone asked me if they could see my butthole, I would be so shocked. Like, I would go blank.
Oh, yeah, I would
have
too.
nothing.
I would just like walk away really fast. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's probably what I would do. Holy shit. I was at a market with a friend. As we were going through the cash register, we were laughing about something, and the lady behind us said, "Oh, you two are so sweet and young. Keep laughing, but you won't be able to laugh soon." She didn't mean bad, but it was weird.
Yeah, what the fuck does that mean?
Oh, no.
Sounds like a threat.
It does. She probably meant, oh, you'll be old soon. You won't have much to laugh about, so you might as well do it now.
Just a weird comment altogether.
Exactly. Like, why would you insert yourself just to say that? That's
yeah.
weird. A guy grabbed my hand and held it the entire time he was pissing in a urinal beside me. I ask myself every day, why didn't I let go of his hand?
That is weird.
What?
If someone did that to me, I'd probably end up pushing them away.
Yeah, I wouldn't have held his hand
No.
for sure.
No.
No way.
Even if you weren't in, like, the bathroom. If someone came up and, like, tried to hold my hand that I didn't know, I'd be like,
immediately.
Get off. What the hell?
Exactly. Weird. I was walking around a shady area of Philly with my family when I was 13. A homeless man approached me and just started petting my head. Given I had short curly hair, the guy just kept smiling and rubbing my head, calling me sheepdog. It was a solid 10 seconds of shock, a shock-induced freeze, until my dad kind of tugged my arm and we left.
That's weird.
What is wrong with people?
I don't know.
As a 12-year-old kid, I was sitting on a bench at Six Flags by myself. A random average-looking man in what I would guess to be his mid-20s came up to me and said, "You will remember me for the rest of your life." Then he left and went about his business. That fucker knows how to play a game. 15 years later, I still remember him and think of him every couple months.
Wonder how many people he did that to.
Oh, no. That's funny. And this is my last one. On Christmas Eve, standing in line at the last remaining Blockbuster video in the entire world when this weird older dude holding a baguette cuts in line ahead of me. Meh. It's almost Christmas, so I ignore the cutting. But then he starts talking to me. Him. I mow lawns for a living. Me. Polite nod. Him. I go over to cut these people's lawns, and they have these two giant dogs, like a Rot and a Lab, big-ass dogs, and they have shit all over their lawn. At this point, I'm just staring at him open-mouthed because I'm not used to strange men holding baguettes talking about dog shit to me at Blockbuster Video, and apparently my shock is taken as encouragement to continue his little story. Him. So I can't mow the lawn with all that shit on it, so I go around scooping 20 pounds of dog crap and have nowhere to put it. So I dump it all in a Christmas box I have sitting in the back of my truck and finish the job. Then I go over to the grocery store across the way to buy my baguette, and when I get back, some asshole has stolen my dog shit right out of the back of my truck. And now I have nothing to give my ex-wife for Christmas. He then looks around him in surprise and states, "Where the fuck am I? I don't even know why I'm here. I'm not buying a video." And he leaves.
I bet someone had a big surprise when they opened that box.
That's hilarious.
That's what you get. Oh, that was great. I did 10 weird court cases featuring supernatural beings.
That is very interesting. I'm excited.
So number 10 is the Ghost Writer. Francisco Candido Xavier, better known as Chico Xavier, was one of the most popular Brazilian authors in the 20th century. The author of 450 books, there was something special about his method of working. All of his texts, Xavier claimed, were channeled through him by spirits in a process called psychography. I think I said that right. Xavier was a spiritist and believed that mediums like himself could contact disembodied spirits, including the souls of the dead. Many of his books were actually written by other dead writers. This brings up a number of ethical and legal problems. The one that concerned the family of the deceased poet Humberto de Campo was who should get the royalties of these I don't ever know how to pronounce that word. Posthumous?
Yeah, I think so.
Works. Xavier claimed that De Campo had written them through him, but it was Xavier who took the money.
Sorry.
What?
When you were pointing like that or something?
Uh-huh.
And I thought you were pointing at that. I was like, what the fuck?
I can read the word one.
I kept looking at it. I'm like, am I seeing something?
I was pointing at that one.
I know. I eventually caught up.
Oh, gosh. Xavier claimed that De Campo had written them through him, but it was Xavier who took the money. De Campo's family thought the money should be theirs, or Xavier should admit he was faking the works, and sued. The case came to trial in 1944, with the family insisting that everyone involved in the trial, including Humberto de Campo's spirit, should be forced to attend. Alas, before he could turn up, the judge dismissed the case as dead people have no civil rights, and a family could only claim ownership of works produced by an author before their death.
What the actual fuck? So did the ghost show up or not? We never find out?
No, because they dismissed it and didn't do it.
That's ridiculous.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
Number 9, Betty Penrose versus God. When bad luck strikes, it is a natural reaction to shake our fists at fate, fortune, or the gods. For most of us, we simply get on with life, but some people decide that someone has to pay for their bad luck. Americans are known to be litigious people, so it should really be no surprise that God has been brought to trial in the United States. When Betty Penrose's house in Arizona was struck by lightning and burned down, there was really only one person to blame. With the help of her lawyer, Boss, a case was brought to California in 1969 against God, seeking $100,000 in damages as they alleged God controlled the operation of the universe, including the weather in and upon the state of Arizona.
Are you fucking serious right now?
The case was able to be heard in California because a property had recently been transferred to the legal ownership of God. If God could own property, then he could be sued. However, the deed for this transfer was ruled to be invalid, but Penrose's case had already been adjudicated. She won, by the way, but was never able to collect her judgment.
Oh my god.
So stupid.
So the comedian Dan Cummins has said this before, and I completely agree. There should be a committee that when someone brings a lawsuit, if this committee needs to review it, and if it is frivolous, then that person needs to be taken into a room and beaten with bats.
Yes, I agree.
That way, people won't bring up frivolous lawsuits like that and give
Exactly.
Americans a bad name.
Well, not only that, but especially like a part of the reason doctors are so expensive, insurance is so expensive, is because they go to court to get sued. They sue the doctors, they sue insurance companies, and we have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Number 8, Ernie Chambers versus God.
Oh my god.
When you are in charge of the whole universe, it makes sense that the buck will finally stop with you. God has been sued multiple times. In 2007, Ernie Chambers, a state senator for Nebraska, became the latest to try. Chambers was seeking a judicial injunction to order God to stop his fearsome floods. They use a lot of big words in these. egregious earthquakes, horrendous hurricanes, terrifying tornadoes, pestilential plagues, ferocious famines, devastating droughts, genocidal wars, birth defects, and the like. God could be sued in Nebraska thanks to his being omnipresent, is that how you say that word? And having putative agents, priests, operating for him. Because God was omniscient, he could not claim to be unaware of the harm he was causing. The case made it before a judge, but was dismissed as God could not be contacted and summoned to trial. For Chambers, however, this was a victory. He had no intention of suing God. He was simply trying to make a point that any case deserved to be heard and not simply dismissed as frivolous.
Oh my God.
A trial involving rape and the plaintiff's right to call the crime a rape has been dismissed previously as frivolous.
Oh my God. Why are all of our stories shitty this week?
I don't know. I don't know. Number 7, Pavel Mercia. When a person is baptized, do they form a binding legal contract with God? That was the question at the heart of a Romanian prisoner's lawsuit. Pavel Mercia was served a 20-year prison sentence for murder when he came to believe that his crimes were actually due to Satan. Why had God not protected him from Satan's influence? God, he claimed, had been happy to accept his prayers and offerings, but had failed to deliver on the benefits that being a Christian was supposed to provide. Thus, God was in breach of contract. As God's representative, Mercia was also suing the Orthodox Church. Mercia's efforts were in vain. The case was dismissed as God is not a citizen or a company in Romania's jurisdiction.
I mean, what do these people actually think they're going to get out of it?
I know. I mean, it's not like God's going to write you a freaking check.
Seriously.
They're stupid. It's just idiots. That's all I know. Number 6. Stambovsky versus Ackley. Helen Ackley claimed to have experienced years of poltergeist activity in her New York home. She talked about her experiences in several press articles, and her home soon began to get a reputation for being haunted. When she sold the house to Jeffrey Stambovsky, she is said to have informed him about the hauntings, to which he replied, "We'll have to call in the Ghostbusters." Then the contract was signed. Soon, however, Stambovsky got cold feet. He claimed to have only just found out about the hauntings and wanted to pull out of the sale. He then took Ackley and her real estate agent to court, claiming fraudulent misrepresentation of the property. A first trial was dismissed, but Stambovsky appealed. The court then ruled that, as a matter of law, the house is haunted. This was not because they found that ghosts are real, but rather because having the reputation of being haunted would affect the value of the property. It also found that buyers had a duty to check a property before they buy, but that as ghosts cannot be seen, they allowed the contract to be broken.
That's stupid.
Are you okay?
I'm tired. I told you that.
Number 5, Burchill versus Hermemeyer. In 1919, a Mr. Hermemeyer was informed by Mrs. Burchill that there was a fortune in oil on her property. All he had to do to get a share of this bountiful oil was to invest in her oil company. He did, putting up $10,000 of his money. That was a vast sum. Why did he have so much faith that oil would be discovered? Mrs. Burchill had been told about the oil by a medium who had learned about the oil from a spirit. Hermemeyer sued Burchill to get his money back when the ghostly oil prospector proved to be wrong. No oil was found. Hermemeyer contended that his mind was in an abnormal and irrational condition when he believed the spirit, so his money should be returned to him. The court did not agree. While it did not deny that it might be possible for spirits to communicate with the living, these subjects belong to realms and powers that as yet must generally be classed as purely speculative, and not so established by evidence cognizable by the law, which are required to administer as to be classed as facts, as among proven things. He had chosen to act on his belief in ghosts, so the investment was not made on the basis of fraud.
So he wasted all that time for them to say, "Aw, you're really stupid."
Yes, exactly. Number 4, McClary versus Stoll. In 1895, the Nebraska Supreme Court heard a case involving a will and the influence of ghosts. Elizabeth Handley was a widow who had strong spiritual beliefs. She was known to consult spirits, including that of her dead husband, using a planchette, a bit like using a Ouija board. When she died, her will was read, and it announced that almost all of her estate was to be sold and the money left to a charity called the Home of the Friendless. Her children sued on the grounds that the will had been made on the advice of the spirit of their dead father. The court found that the will should stand. Law, it is said, is of the earth, earthy, and the spirit wills are too celestial for cognizance by earthly tribunals. A proposition readily conceded, and yet the courts have not assumed to deny the spirits of their departed the privilege of holding communion with those of their friends who are still in the flesh, so long as they do not interfere with vested rights or by the means of undue influence seek to prejudice the interests of persons still within our jurisdiction. Since the dead woman was not insane in her beliefs, she was free to leave her money however she wanted. All this lawyer speak is making me tongue-tied. Number 3, Edward Stribling Shue. There is only one case in the United States where the evidence of a ghost has led to a successful conviction. When Edward Shue's wife, Zona, was found dead at the bottom of the stairs in her house, he moved her to the bed and dressed her in a high-necked collar before the doctor could arrive. When the doctor came, he examined the body, except for the neck and head, which were hidden and which Shue was cradling in anguish. Most accepted the finding that it had been a simple accident. Zona's mother suspected foul play, however. At night, Zona's ghost would come to the grieving mother and tell her what had really happened. The ghost claimed she had been strangled and had her neck broken at the first joint. Zona's mother pushed for an investigation, and the dead woman was exhumed. She was found to have been strangled and had her neck broken at just the place the ghost had mentioned. Edward Shue was charged with murder. Perhaps hoping to discredit the ghostly testimony, Zona's mother was called to give evidence about the apparition. Evidently, the jury found her convincing, for they found Shue guilty of murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison.
It's still the best.
That is the best story.
It's crazy.
I know. Number 2, Hammersmith ghost murder. Today, ghost hunters generally go armed only with video recorders when they try to capture a ghost. This was not always the case. In 1804, there were many reports of a spirit attacking people in the Hammersmith area of London. It was said to be a tall man dressed all in white and may have been the restless soul of someone who took their own life. Gangs of men formed to search the streets for the phantom. When Francis Smith saw a man dressed all in white one night, he knew he had found the ghost. He shouted to the ghost, "Damn you! Who are you and what are you? Damn you, I'll shoot you." And he did. The bullet hit the ghost in the jaw and knocked him to the ground. Soon it became clear that the ghost was no more than a bricklayer called Thomas Millwood, wearing the white garb that people of his profession always wore. He died on the spot.
Oh, that sucks.
Smith was brought to trial for murder. The heightened tension caused by rumors of a ghost was no defense, so he was found guilty and sentenced to death. This was later commuted to a year of hard labor, but the precedent stands in English law that believing someone is a ghost is no justifiable reason to kill them.
No. If that was the case, I mean, it'd be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I thought it was a ghost.
I thought it was a ghost.
I can't be held responsible.
You're right. I'm just going to go on my way now.
There'd be a lot more dead people if we could do that.
That's for sure.
Number 1, Gerald Mayo versus Satan and his staff. Suing the devil is a risky business. One has to assume that the devil has access to all of history's greatest lawyers in his role as ruler of the damned. Still, in 1971, Gerald Mayo, who was a prisoner in Pennsylvania, submitted a case against Beelzebub. According to the lawsuit, the devil was at the root of all of Mayo's problems. Satan had, on numerous occasions, caused plaintiff misery and unwarranted threats against the will of the plaintiff, that Satan had placed deliberate obstacles in his path and had caused plaintiff's downfall. Because of these actions, Satan and all his evil minions had denied Mayo his constitutional rights. The judge was forced to deny the motion to sue Satan for several reasons. There was no evidence that the devil was a resident of the district, so the court might not be the right place to bring the trial. There was also the problem of delivering a summons to court to Satan. Few people would be willing to make the trip to hell to serve papers.
I'm surprised there were more cases brought against God than
Yeah.
Satan.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Okay, I have some unsettling things that people have seen in other people's houses.
Oh, these are always good.
Yeah. Many years ago, I had a friend who was never allowed over to my house. I had no idea why. I visited her home once, and it was a very tiny apartment with 2 closet-sized bedrooms. One of the bedrooms had a crib, like what a baby half her size would sleep in. She told me that's where she slept. I found it quite odd and very disturbing, even in my 6-year-old mind.
That is creepy.
That's creepy. I went over to a friend's house once, and she had a small pet play area, but they didn't have any pets. I thought she must have had a little sister because there were baby toys in it. When I asked her, she said it was for Abigail. When I asked who Abigail was, her eyes got all glassy, and she said me. Then went back to normal like nothing happened. Her name was Catherine.
Ew, that gave me chills. That's creepy.
I know. What?
She have a split personality?
I don't know. Or maybe her parents forced her to pretend to be a
I don't
baby?
know. That's weird.
When looking for a new house, we went into one home that seemed normal from the outside, but inside, all the couches and chairs in the downstairs were neon purple inflatable furniture. Was that a gay man? What? Why is that in there? That's not scary. Okay. I knew a girl whose father had a cardboard cutout of himself standing in a superhero pose. It was scary because he would randomly hide it throughout the house. Hilarious, but scary.
That is hilarious.
Hundreds of clowns. I was visiting a distant relative and was horrified to find her entire apartment was clown-themed. Everything was clowns. The couch, wall art, cooking utensils, rugs, shower curtains. Many of the clowns were crying, too. I couldn't wait to get out. Eesh. That is creepy.
That is creepy. Of course, I mean...
Not as creepy as it could be, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, my house
still.
is almost a lot of
No,
skulls.
yours is good. Like, it's not creepy. I cleaned houses for a while. One client was an elderly funeral home owner who lived alone in a large place. His master bathroom was carpeted, which was gross, and it had a urinal. Directly above the urinal, at eye level, was an oil painting portrait of a man staring back at you.
Ew.
Why?
Don't like that.
I was at a friend's house in middle school, opened the fridge, and milk. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but at least 7 gallons of milk, along with many other dairy products. I think they probably got that stuff for free or something somewhere.
Maybe. I don't know. That's
Kind of weird.
That's weird, but not creepy.
My grandparents have this creepy child-sized doll that faces the corner in one of the rooms in their guest bedrooms. It's supposed to look like a kid in Time Out, but it creeps me out. I don't get to visit my grandparents more than once or twice a year because they live pretty far away, and every time I visit, I still get startled by that doll because I forget it's there.
That reminds me of the Blair Witch Project.
Well, do you remember those creepy dolls?
Yes. The ones that face...
Yeah.
Their back is to you. Yeah.
It's supposed to look like they're playing hide and seek or something.
Yeah,
but no,
it's creepy.
Super creepy. My friends were house sitting for an old couple and I went to visit them. In the living room on the coffee table, there were 30 to 40 portraits of family members, all arranged perfectly so that eyes would look at you when you were on the sofa.
Ugh.
Why?
That's weird.
I'm going to skip that one. That's one that's not scary. One of my mom's friends decorated parts of her house with baby doll parts. The coffee table had a centerpiece that was just a bowl of baby doll heads. They also had a bunch of other weird decorations and paintings, but from what I remember, they were pretty cool people.
Some people just have strange tastes, I guess.
That's super,
right?
a bowl of baby doll heads on your coffee table.
Maybe they were like horror movie fans or something.
Sure. But it's a bowl of baby doll heads on the coffee table. Just why?
It's just weird.
It is weird. My grandfather's home features thousands of framed photographs. Every wall in his house is covered from floor to ceiling with framed pictures, except for one bathroom, which is filled with hundreds of tiny ceramic pigs. That's weird.
I mean, were they pictures of like family or?
That's what it sounded like. It just said thousands of framed photographs.
Huh. I mean, if it was family and friends, that's
what
not that big of a deal. But if it's like just,
I would assume if it wasn't family and friends, they would have said what it was, right?
I'm assuming.
That's still weird. I was looking for a place to live several years back, touring apartments and meeting potential roommates. At one place, I noticed a bowl of teeth sitting out near the front door. I didn't dare ask what it was about.
Oh, no, that's creepy.
That is where did you get teeth and why?
I wonder if they were like animal teeth or human teeth.
It didn't say. I once went to my friend Brian's house for dinner, and his mom set 4 places. One for me, one for Brian, one for herself, and the last one was for a doll with a cutout picture of Brian's late grandmother's face taped to it.
No way. That is a horror movie right there.
Yeah.
That is creepy as fuck.
Okay, those were mine. So that wasn't very long. So I'm going to do some modern paranormal phenomena. Ever since the discovery that a hobbit-like race actually once existed on Earth, science has been re-examining the possibility that other reported little people may not be entirely mythical. I didn't know that was... Is that a real thing?
I don't know. I didn't know that.
Seriously, if hobbits existed at one time? How adorable is that?
Is it like the ones on, what is that, Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Where they have like huge feet?
Yeah.
Huge hairy feet?
Yeah. How cute.
I don't think that's cute.
Okay. A tiny little human. I don't care what they look like. I don't care about their feet. That is adorable. I'm sorry, but... Putting science aside, there have always been those who insist that small humanoid creatures exist among us. Recent reports of gnome-like or elf-like creatures, sometimes caught unaware in remote locations, have been made. They are often described as being no more than 9 inches tall. Oh my god, that's so cute.
That is cute.
Although
Kind
with
of creepy,
physical,
though.
I get that. Let's see.
It'd be like little Barbie dolls running around.
Yeah. I wouldn't know what to think, obviously, but that's adorable. I like it. It would be like little fairies. I like it. Though with the physical features of a humanoid, some of them are said to be very hairy. In Mexico and the Caribbean, there are small gnome-like creatures that sometimes invade the space of normal human beings, either to steal their food or for more sinister reasons. Either because of their utter strangeness or some power they possess, they have been said to shock witnesses almost into paralysis until they make their escape. Of course, the relationship to fairies or fairy lore here cannot be ignored. In Iceland, belief that elves and other little creatures have real abodes beneath the earth is very strong. People who construct malls and large buildings are sometimes physically impeded from disturbing areas where these little creatures are believed to live, so as to not incur their wrath. Incur their wrath. Many Icelanders will claim their beliefs are based on actual sightings of these beings. So can we dismiss elves, gnomes, fairies, or whatever we might like to call the little creatures we grew up reading about? Or are they based on a very tangible creature that still exists?
There's lots of stories about people seeing
Yeah.
little people.
And I can't say anything. I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Doppelgangers.
Ugh.
A German derived word. A doppelganger is basically a person's exact double. Apparently, they have been seen since the early times and are sometimes known as a fetch. According to Wikipedia, a Vardonger or something is a double in Norse mythology who actually precedes a living person performing their actions in advance. In modern times, paranormal message boards have several posts from persons claiming to have seen someone in one place, only to meet them later and realize the first sighting was impossible. One woman looking through a large picture window clearly saw her husband being dropped off at home by a coworker. She went to the door to let him in, only to find no sign of either person or the car outside. Her husband arrived home hours later and confirmed that at the time she thought she saw him, he and his colleague were still 4 hours away from home. One person was told that he was heard arriving home with a friend 5 minutes before he actually did so. When he and his partner actually did get home, his waiting friends said their arrival sounded exactly the same, with them making the same noises and even uttering the same words that were heard the first time. Weird, yet apparently not so uncommon. A few people even claim to have undeniably seen themselves wearing the same clothing. Seeing someone else's fetch is also said to precede death. Such notable persons as Percy Shelley and Abraham Lincoln reported having doppelganger experiences.
I almost wonder if doppelgangers are like, how they say that time is just it's a human construct. Time is happening all at once.
Yeah.
So I wonder if somehow it's like it just gets messed up a little bit.
Well, that makes me think of, remember when I saw Tyrion in the house, and it looked to me like what she would have done after she took her shower, but she didn't do that. Like, did I make that up? Did she actually do that, like, in a different timeline, and I just saw that?
I don't remember that story.
She had taken a shower, and she had walked across the hallway, and later on that night, like, I was in the closet, like, looking at her. She passed the doorway. She did that, and then, like, hours later, I saw her go back in there and like get something, but when I went in to check on her, she was asleep. But it looked exactly like what she either had done earlier or something she would have done earlier.
Yeah.
It's super weird.
Well, it makes you wonder too, is your brain like you saw that happen so many times?
Exactly. Like, did I make that up?
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
I don't know.
Time slips. Time slips and lost times are unnerving experiences. They have been surmised as being extraterrestrial encounters, dimensional shifts, or even brain strokes. The most disturbing reports are those correlated by more than one person experiencing the same impossible time jump. Characteristically, time slips occur when someone sets out on a journey, long or short, along a familiar path which is clearly defined and should take a specific time to complete. The journey appears normal, except at the end the person realizes they have covered a number of miles with an impossibly short space of time. They are unsettled to find themselves at their destination sometimes hours earlier than possible. There have even been cases of time loss where a person is to set on a journey, traveled normally, yet arrived at their destination hours later than explainable. Where did the missing time go? Usually, it is only upon arrival at the discrepancy in time is noticed. Are there dimensional warps we sometimes inadvertently pass through? Could physics someday confirm and explain the existence of time slips? Enough people continue to have these experiences to justify scientific investigation into this phenomenon. It would be very interesting to be able to research that stuff.
It would. But it's too random. I think
Exactly.
I don't think there's a way to do it.
And there's no, like, you can't know when it's coming. You can't know who it's going to happen to. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
And my last one, I'm going to do Black Stickman.
What?
The Black Stickman is another entity encountered in modern times, not to be confused with the Shadow Man. Incredibly, he's even stranger. Stickmen are supposed to look like totally black, thin stick figure drawings, such as teachers would make in kindergarten. They have been reported as between the height of average height to an impossibly tall height. Their heads are just a black circle with no facial features being discernible. They are totally two-dimensional without any depth. Usually they have been sighted walking along roads at night or at transitional times, such as twilight or just before dawn. Bizarrely, some of them have a weird loping gait. They are surprised when actually seen and have followed unfortunate witnesses on occasion. Their pace remains leisurely as they approach. Obviously, to be pursued by such an otherworldly creature would be anything but pleasant, and those who have encountered them have been understandably terrified. So far, however, apart from being bizarre and frightening, they have done no physical harm, and ultimately, they just disappear.
That is weird.
I've never heard of that before.
I haven't either. We have never had any stories like that
No.
before either.
No. A stick man?
That's weird.
And like he's just, it honestly seems like they are in another dimension and not used, like for some reason people are seeing them. Because they said like they're like surprised if they're seen. So they could be walking around all everywhere in another dimension,
or it could be, what's that called? When you think hard enough about a tulpa.
Oh yeah,
like all these people that play like hangman. They brought it to life, and he's pissed. All right, it's time for the witty wrap-up.
Yay, witty wrap-up.
I'm doing funny tweets. Okay. I can't prove he's involved yet, but my 3-year-old has been obsessing over tow trucks for weeks, and today we blew a tire on nothing for no reason.
Suspicious.
Whenever flight attendants are like, if you have to assist a young child with an oxygen mask, put yours on first, I just think about how my child would scream at me, "No, Mommy, I do it."
Oh my gosh. That is so true.
Yep. No one is full of more false hope than a parent with a new chore chart.
Oh, that's funny.
7-year-old. So dolls weren't invented when you were a kid either, right, Mom?
What?
Me. For the last time, it was just the internet.
Damn, dolls?
Not now, sweetie. Mommy is trying to figure out if her Facebook friend who changed her last name to her middle name is getting a divorce.
Very important stuff.
That's right. Took my 6-year-old to the bathroom at a friend's yesterday, and she looked around and said, "Wow, this bathroom is so pretty and shiny." And then she wiped and was like, "Mom, you have to try this toilet paper. It's so thick and soft." And long story short, my kid just discovered wealth.
Oh, no. Yeah, don't expect that out.
Yeah, that's not happening. The most exhausting part of parenting that isn't talked about enough is that kids constantly want you to watch the dance they just made up. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mommy, watch this.
Look what I can do. 3-year-old confidently, but Mommy, people do not eat cows. Me, bud, we do. Hamburgers are made of cow. 3-year-old, uncertain laughter. Mommy, that is funny for pretend, but I mean for real. Me, yes, for real. 3-year-old with scorn. No. Me, what do you think burgers are made of? 3-year-old, people?
Oh my God, that's so much worse. What the fuck? That's horrible. I was not expecting that.
No, me neither. My 6-year-old just told me all about this new place he heard about and wants to visit this weekend, so I asked for more details, and it's a casino.
Oh, shit. I want to go.
Starting young. My husband was telling our 3-year-old that the breakfast he made her slaps, and my extremely literal child was like, mostly it chews.
That's funny.
Who would have thought baby's favorite bedtime story would be the air fryer recipe book that was thrown at me at a North Carolina show? Really makes you think.
What?
Hypothetically speaking, if your child brought a snail in the house, placed it in a dollhouse, and then 10 minutes later it disappears from said dollhouse, what do you think happened to it, and where might it turn up?
Oh, yikes.
Yee. I had high hopes and dreams for major accomplishments this year, but my 6-year-old is still telling me her story. My daughter got to pack her own lunch for the last day of school, and it included a donut, 2 bags of chips, a shaker of sprinkles, and 1 tiny baby carrot because it's important to be healthy.
That's hilarious. I love the shaker of sprinkles.
My children are hanging out with my dad today. I was trying to send him a list of reminders, and he told me if I text him again, he's keeping them. You can have kids, or you can always know where your scissors and tape are, but you can't have both.
For sure.
My 6-year-old put a bucket over her head and climbed the new concrete stairs in our backyard. She immediately tripped and scraped her knee. Once the tears had dried, she sat down for some sober reflection and devised a plan to avoid a similar accident in the future. Softer stairs.
Perfect.
And my last one. My 7-year-old randomly asked, how much money do we have in our bank account? Me, laugh my ass off. Oh, no, I said that wrong. Oh, well, whatever. I said we, laugh my ass off. Not me.
Whatever.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening. Send in your stories. We need them. ghouls.nightoutpodcast@gmail.com. You can rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen, and we will talk to you in a couple weeks.
Later.
Bye.